Oh, hi. I didn't see you there. Hello, my Doomlings, and welcome back to another spooky video. December, a time of holidays, magic, and wonder. But it's also a time for darkness, cold, and yes, monsters. Every December, an astronomical phenomena marking the shortest day and the longest night, known as the winter solstice, also known as midwinter, occurs from December 21st through the 23rd, when the night is longest and coldest, and the barrier between this world and the next is thinnest. Tonight, we're going to be talking about a few of the most frightening creatures that lurk about during the holiday season, so keep your wits about you. Before we get into it, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to see more spooky videos just like this one. Alright, let's get started. The first horror that I want to talk about are the Karakankolos. They appear in Bulgaria, Turkey, and Serbia, and take slightly different forms in each country, but generally, they resemble a cross between Sasquatch and the devil. This creature has been said to be harmless at times, but others, pure terror. This manifestation arrives during the winter solstice, or in Turkish tradition, the 10 days of Zemhiri, aka the dreadful cold, the heart of winter. These malevolent beings imitate the voices of loved ones and lure people outside into the night. The person finds himself caught in a trance, unable to move. They stand there frozen in place until the cold takes over and they freeze to death. The behavior of the Karakankolos mostly consists of them standing on street corners on winter nights, waiting for passerbyers to ask them strange questions, riddles. And if they give them any answer with the word black in it, they will let them pass. But if they do not, they will strike them dead with one blow. They're said to be shapeshifters, and sometimes take the form of a little girl or a woman trying to find their way into your homes. Sometimes to steal food, and other times for more sinister reasons. And the only way to get rid of them is to set fire to silk or thread. And for some reason, the Karakankolos will set fire to his own fur, and upon realizing what he has done, he will flee from the house. Another sneaky trick of the Karakankolos is to sneak into the homes of children and stand behind their doorways, wait for them to fall asleep, and then grab them by their necks and drag them out into the snow, only to eat them. Don't think you want to encounter one of these guys. Next, I want to talk about Gryla and the Yule Children. Icelandic tradition tells of a mythical giantess who comes down from her mountain cave, steals children from their lives, boils them, and eats them. With the help of her mischievous ghost children, the Yule Lads, they wreak havoc wherever they go. The Yule Children are a lot like poltergeists, angry, playful little tricksters that taunt and disturb the living. And each Yule Lad does a specific different thing. And while most of their crimes are juvenile, like stealing food or misplacing items, others stare into windows, slam doors, and even murder. Themselves, they were eaten by the giant witch Gryla, and now that their spirits are bound to her, Gryla and her husband have parented the 13 Yule Children. The people of Iceland use Gryla as a way to make their children behave before the holiday season. But if you had any doubt at all that her ghostly children would haunt you, or her ogreish fingernails would rip you from your bed at night, you might want to change your behavior. Gryla just so happened to have a pet, which is the next creature that we're going to be talking about. Jólakatturinn, the Yule Cat. A giant, vicious black cat that's said to roam the countryside of Iceland during the time of Christmas and eat people who have not received new clothes for Christmas Eve. Basically, the threat was that if you did not receive new clothes by Christmas Eve, the feline knew that you had been lazy that year And to punish you for being lazy, he would prey upon you, wait until the nighttime, and then drag you out into the snowy dark where he would devour you. Now, let's talk about one of the most disturbing spirits of the holiday season, Hans Trapp, also known as the Anti-Santa. Hans Trapp was a wealthy, greedy, evil man, so hateful that even though he was spoiled with riches, he was loathed. Hans had been accused of practicing in the occult, and because of superstition, he had been excommunicated from the Catholic Church. He was forced into exile, isolated from the rest of society. He found shelter in the mountains of Bavaria, Germany, where he constructed himself a makeshift house. Days in solitude, brooding, alone, the torment, dreaming of revenge. He began to lose his mind. His anger and resentment intensified, and he began to devote himself to Satanism. Descending into madness, Hans Trapp began to dream of eating human flesh. So he began to roam the countryside, disguised as a scarecrow, stuffing his ragged clothes with straw and sticks, awaiting his moment for the perfect victim. One day, a 10-year-old shepherd boy was passing by. Hans Trapp saw it as an opportunity, and he pounced on him with a sharpened stick, dragged him back to his hut, cut him into pieces, and roasted him over the fire. His tender morsel was about done. Licking his lips drooling, he was about to take a bite. However, before it could enter his mouth, a bolt of lightning came down from the sky and struck Hans dead. The story was that God could not allow the abomination to continue, so he decided to end Hans once and for all. And for the rest of his days he remains as a ghostly scarecrow, wandering the regions of France, waiting until the 12 days of Christmas to scare naughty children into being nice, or else. Our very last Yuletide terror on this list is a witch by the name of Frau Perchta, sometimes presented as having two faces, which makes sense. The good children of Eastern Europe loved Frau Perchta, while the naughty children were terrified of her. And for good reason. On the 12th night of Christmas, the Feast of Epiphany, it is said that Perchta would roam the countryside, creep into homes, and leave pieces of silver in the shoes of child servants who were good that year. But if you were bad, you were in for a hell of a lot worse than a stocking full of coal. To the naughty, she gave them the gift of slitting open their stomach, removing all of their internal organs, and replacing them with rocks and garbage. And if people had eaten anything other than the traditional meal of meat and fish on the feast's night, she would cut open their stomachs and fill them with straw. Perchta is thought to be the legendary alpine goddess of nature, tending to the forest most of the year round. But every solstice, the woman, the witch, the monster, steps out from the darkness. So what do you guys think? Are these spirits just old folk tales meant to frighten children into good behavior before the holidays? Is there truth behind their malevolent history? Or maybe it's much more real than we thought? I'll let you decide. Remember to be good next year. That is, if you make it that long. Don't forget to leave the light on. And remember, if you hear a bump in the night or footsteps behind you, don't look back, because you might see something that you don't want to see.